Blessings to you today. Welcome to our Cornerstone Church. Wow, a word on Wednesday. I'm Pastor Augustus T. Curry. I really appreciate you taking time to join in and share with us today as we share the study of God's Word. I'm super excited about our study today. I want us to look at Psalm 46. Psalm 46. And I pray the Lord will give us some understanding and some clarity into this familiar psalm. I know you're going to be blessed by it. Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. God is our refuge. He's our refuge. That ought to be encouraging to the believer today in this season and time of pandemic, not only in terms of a pandemic with the health crisis in our country and in our world, but also just the pandemics of life that you can find yourself involved with. So many things, in addition to the health crisis, there are so many other types of crisis that can lend themselves to making you feel like you are in a pandemic. It might be a financial crisis, a relationship crisis. All types of crisis hit us from time to time. Depression, burnout, you name it, we can find ourselves in times of trouble. But the psalmist reminds us that no matter what we're going through, God is our refuge in the midst of it. He's not our refuge apart from it, but he's our refuge in the midst of it. A refuge, a fortress on high ground. That's what that word originally meant. A fortress on high ground, a place of security that is well secured. God is that to the believer in times of trouble. He is that and our strength in the process of the matter. I like the way the original Hebrew language puts this first verse. It says, in essence, yes, God is our refuge and strength, but I like the second clause of how it reads. It says he's a tested help in time of trouble. A tested help in time of trouble. That word tested got lost in the translation to our English language, but it originally said he's a tested help in time of trouble. I like that word tested because that means he's already been proven. He's already shown himself to be our refuge and strength. In other words, if you want to know what God can do, what God will do, just look at what he's already done. Look at what he's already done. That ought to give you encouragement for what lies ahead of you in the present as well as in the future. And because he's our tested help in time of trouble, verse 2 says, therefore will not we fear. And so there's no need to fear when your faith and trust is in the Lord. It has been said that fear knocked on the door and faith answered and no one was there. That's what faith will do. It will drive fears away. And so because God is our refuge, because he's our fortress, and because he's our strength, and because he's a very tested help, he's proven himself to be trustworthy in our time of trouble, therefore there's no need for us to fear. And then the writer of this psalm employs that literary device known as metaphors. He uses metaphors to describe what can happen to us things that can cause trouble to come on us. He says, listen, he says, though the earth be removed, though the earth be removed. That word earth metaphorically here represents that which you are planted on. Though the earth be removed, that which you consider to be your security, your foundation, that which you've been banking on, that which you have placed your hope and trust in, your earth, that which you've been planning and saving to keep you, that you think has you well grounded. Listen, the psalmist says all of that can be removed. He said, though the earth be removed, though that which you think is your security can be taken away. And he says, even though the mountains, that's the second metaphor he employs, mountains. Mountains, of course, metaphorically represent what you aspire to climb to. Mountains, that which you are seeking to go up to. Mountains, dreams, goals, the goals you have. You've got plans. That's what mountains represents. He says, listen, all of that stuff can be carried away into the midst of the sea. And then the third metaphor he uses, not only can your earth be removed, that which you consider to be your security, what you are grounded in, all of that can be removed, and what you aspire to, your mountains, can be carried away into the midst of the sea. Here's a third metaphor, the waters. He says in verse 3, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled. Water is what gives life. You can't live without water. Water is what sustains a person physically. Water is life. Astronomers and scientists, they're looking for life on other planets. And what's the first thing they look for? Water. Water is metaphorically speaking of life. So psalmist says, though the waters thereof roar, that which you look to, that which you feel makes your life worthwhile, water, the joys of life. He says, listen, all of that stuff can end up being troubled. He says in verse 3, thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swellings thereof. He mentions mountains again. But then he says, listen, that water that can run out on you, that water, that thing you thought you just had to have, that person you thought you had to have to sustain you, he says it can run out on you. It can roar and be troubled. But he says, listen, but there's some more water. Verse 4, he said, there is a river, though. Your water might dry up, but there's another river. The streams whereof, verse 4, shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. Now, when it talks about this river, after your waters run out and dry up, there's another river. Some theologians see it as speaking eschatologically meaning in the end time. You've got to understand that in Genesis chapter 2, God places waters. He places rivers in the Garden of Eden. Genesis chapter 2, verse 10 and onward, it talks about 3 rivers there around the Euphrates, of course, in Africa, the Garden of Eden, where civilization was born by God. There's some rivers there. But when we fall from grace, when man falls from grace, when we fell from grace, we left all that behind. But by the time you get to Revelation 22 and 1, it talks about another river. Revelation 22 and 1 says, and he showed me a pure river. A pure river, what type of river was it? It's a pure river of water of life. Again, water means life, metaphorically. Clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lord. And so get this, we lost one river in Genesis, but God's leading us to another river in Revelation. And so eschatologically speaking, you may lose some things, but God has some better things for you. In other words, he'll even lead you into what you fell from. And so there's rivers might draw up on you here, might dry up on you here. People will leave you. Situations may get away from you. But he says there's another river. The streams shall make glad the city of God. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her in that right early. Verse 6 and onward, the heathen raged. The kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice. The earth melted. The earth melted. The earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. That word host in the expression Lord of hosts simply means angelic armies. The Lord of hosts, the captain of the angelic army, is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. He's our fortress. He's our strength. Verse 8, come behold the works of the Lord. What desolations he have made in the earth. Listen, he says God is so awesome. Verse 9, he maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He says he even breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. In other words, he says here that even the weapons that are set up against you will not ever overtake you. It says he breaks the bow and then cuts the spear in sunder. No wonder the Bible reminds us no weapon formed against you. It doesn't say it won't be formed, but it says even when it is formed, it won't be able to prosper against you. Why? Because he can break the weapons that have been designed to hurt you, cut the spear in sunder, and then even burneth the chariot in the fire. That's the type of awesome God that we serve. And so when you consider all of that, we get to the conclusion of the matter, beginning with verse 10. He says, so just be still. He said, the Lord says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts, the captain of the angelic armies, the king of the kingdom is with us. He's our Emmanuel. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Thank God for his word. And then, of course, it ends with that word, Selah, which simply means rest. Rest on that. And so I pray you've been blessed by this study on today. Listen, please don't forget to continue to intentionally be safe during this pandemic season. Continue to wear your face mask. Continue to have your sanitization fluid with you and all of that. Wash your hands and your mouth is what I say. And certainly keep social distancing. Experts are still suggesting that things can get worse before they can really begin to get better. I believe God is calling his church and his people to be steadfast like never before in this season. So continue as well to be prayed up and continue to tune in to our Bible studies and to our worship on Sunday as well. And I'm sure that God will continue to manifest himself as our refuge and as our strength. Listen, if you'd like to be a blessing to this ministry, you can do that by giving today. You can do that by way of givelify.com. You can pull that up on your cell phone or your laptop computer, givelify.com, Cornerstone Baptist Church, Fayetteville, Georgia. Or you can even send check money orders to our P.O. Box write to us, Cornerstone Church, P.O. Box 2734, Peachtree City, Georgia, 30269. God bless you. I pray that the rest of your week would be the best of your week. And until I see you next time, may God bless you and continue to be our refuge and our strength. Thank you.